My buddy, Rob Hannley, welcome back to the show.
Hey, David. Thank you so much. What an honor and pleasure to be here with you.
Yeah, it's always great, Rob. We always have such a really good time. And I want to mention this. My mom died a year and a couple months ago, but if she was here today, Rob, she would look at the cover of your magazine and say, Rob Hannley, this is the best cover you've ever done with my son on it.
It's right up there. It's right up there. I will say every single issue, that's funny, I will say my mom would say the same thing, and she should say that. Every single issue we do, we simply try to make better than the last issue. And at issue 79 or 78, I think is what yours was. I think we hit the mark. Really do.
Yeah, I mean, it's gorgeous, and I have to thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, any time someone that does this kind of work, this public work, is featured on the cover of a magazine, as I am this month with Rob and his magazine, RecoveryTodayMagazine.com, it is mind-blowing for us as the individuals. It lifts our spirits. And people say, well, David, you're a motivational speaker and a counselor and all this, why do you need your spirits lifted? And it's like, but wait a minute. This is the end result of 43 years of work. And my admiration for Rob selecting me to be on the cover, the incredible feeling it brings to me to be recognized after doing this for 43 years is incredible, Rob. And I really want to thank you for the placement of me on the cover of the magazine, the interview we did, which, ladies and gentlemen, you can get this magazine right now for free, RecoveryTodayMagazine.com. Go and sign up. You can get a whole year for free, and you can listen to the interview that Rob and I did. But, Rob, I again, just thank you so much.
It's really and it's a collaboration. I feel with you and with every single person that contributes to Recovery Today, it's really I who should thank you. And I make no bones about it. When I do the interviews, this is like, I'm not, I guess to date myself, I'm not Jay Leno or Johnny Carson or anything like that. I'm just a guy that's curious, and I really take advantage of it's a therapy session, quite honestly, for me. So when I have a chance to talk to the guy who the big time coaches go to talk to and work out their own issues, I really feel that it is I who should be thanking you. So we're thrilled to feature you as a cover this month.
When we did our interview, Rob, you had mentioned something. You said that when we started the interview, you had felt like I was reading your mind. We've got about 3 minutes before a break. Tell our listeners about that, because it made me laugh when I saw it written in the magazine.
Yeah, it was. I use the expression "read your mail," but in today's thing, it's really about a pocket dial. An accidental phone call. Where you hit the button and somebody can sit there and listen to what you're talking about. And it was very strange because it had happened the day before. I forgot the exact instance that we were at, but my wife was asking me, why do you always feel like you need to be right? Does that make you – that was one example of actually many. But she said, does it make you feel better that you feel like you have to be right about things? And out of the blue, for example, you talked about this need, without my mentioning this at all, about having to be right. And it is something that now I'm aware of, that I can actually let go of. But it wasn't just that. It was the next thing and the next thing. And honestly, things like being right, a lot of times you're not going to change the other person's mind. It actually just made me angry about it. And yet here I felt it was like my duty in some kind of way that God had bestowed this on me, that it's my job to educate everybody around the world. And it doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve me. So, yeah, it was like a pocket dial. It was like you read my mail, man. It was exactly correct.
For the break, again, Rob Hannley, Editor-in-Chief, Recovery Today Magazine, with me. I had said to you, is there anything in our interview that grabbed you that's in your current magazine that you want to share with the audience? And then after that, I know there's a really powerful story we want to get into.
For sure. So I'm going to kind of talk a little bit fast because I just want to get so much information out there to you. The first thing that I want to talk about is, I want to reciprocate and send it back to you because I want to talk about helping Americans heal. And your whole program that you're putting on was something that we wanted to spotlight. I make a little joke. In fact, I registered the domain name. Sometimes I tell people we know all about PTSD, and of course we talked a lot about PTSD in the interview, but I tell people a lot of times I suffer from PFS, and PFS is pandemic fatigue syndrome.
Yes.
And so I tell people I'm just over all of this. I just want I just want all of this to end. And so people are hurting, and I think that is the impetus behind this whole program that you've put together with helping Americans heal. Is we need healing. We have lost people. We have people that are sick. We've been out of jobs, displaced, and we're doing all of these different things. And we just need to heal. Overdoses through the roof, suicides through the roof,
Right.
Fentanyl exploding everywhere. We really, really, really need to heal. And so when I think about what it is that I want to talk about, besides my pocket dial and my own internal craziness that I have in my life, I want to talk about something positive, and that is actually the program to help people heal in your new block. It's soon to be, probably be your 12th, I'm sure it will be your 12th bestseller that is out there. That's what I'd like to talk about.
Rob, that is so awesome. Thank you. Yeah, we realized a while ago that not only was the country going downhill in regards to mental health, but that there weren't enough people reaching out and helping individuals. So we decided to do this program for free. And as a matter of fact, Rob, I'm going to share this with you. And we just released it. We just released our first mental health and master life coach certification program. So we want to certify as many.
I need that.
We want to certify as many people to become mental health coaches so they can go out in the front lines and help individuals heal during these challenging times. So, out of helping Americans heal comes this brand new life coach certification program. We tell people to go check it out at talkdavid.com. But, and Rob, that's the cool thing, right? And you know this. Once we get on a creative roll, you with your magazine, us with our work, things pop up from out of nowhere.
Yeah, except for it's a little bit different because, my brother once told me, I was asking somebody questions about something, my older brother, Rob Hannley, and who, by the way, was the original funding for the magazine and the studio and everything. I love my brother. And I was asking somebody questions about something not related to the magazine, and he goes, why do you always have to ask why? Why? Like, you have to know every detail. And I'm just wired that way. And what I love about our interview, and really all of the interviews, but particularly somebody like you, is I tell people I'm the guy that asks why, and every single question that I would ask you, you didn't miss a beat. Like, it was just immediately all of this information and all of this answer. It was like a fire, like somebody opened up a fire hydrant. And so anytime I have the chance to learn, I have this, and that's why I ask why, is I have this insatiable desire to learn things and to know how things work. And so it's really, as I kind of came back, you said, thank you for putting on the magazine and the cover, but it's really my honor and my pleasure because I learn things from people like you. So thank you.
And Rob, you're welcome. And curiosity is one of the highest traits of high performers in life. When you're curious and you ask questions constantly, that's a high performer standard. I mean, we know that in the world of therapy, right? Because the therapist, their whole role is to ask questions. Well, when you are asking questions over and over, you are learning every day, Rob.
Yes.
Which is absolutely phenomenal. Now, listen, we got about 5 minutes left, and I want to jump into this other article in the new magazine. Remember, gang, you can get Rob's magazine absolutely free, recoverytodaymagazine.com, recoverytodaymagazine.com. About 5 minutes, Rob, the Wrecking Ball, your interview with Javon Barnes.
So Javon Barnes is my new best friend. He's somebody that I didn't know very long ago. My friend Jamie, who I love, she's listening now, connected us, and she said, you guys are going to love each other. And I got on with Javon, and Javon is at first I thought he was, much different than me. Javon is going to be a superstar rapper. I'm 56 years old, and I listen to maybe a Eminem here and there at a football game or something like that, but I'm not a rap kind of guy. But we started getting into a pre-conversation and introduction, and I just fell in love with this guy. Like we hit this flow, and although our backgrounds are very, very different, his background, he came from a horribly dysfunctional, traumatic child abuse home. His father, beat him regularly, was just literally a living hell. And what I didn't know, and what I discovered from our subsequent interview, and this is what we call Chapter 1, by the way. The Wrecking Ball is not an interview. It's not a feature. It's going to be an ongoing series. Is that 14% of households today in America suffer from abuse, or I don't know if it's necessarily domestic violence, but they're horribly dysfunctional. And Javon left home as a teenager. He became a drug dealer and an addict, a big time drug dealer. Now he's a rapper, part of this band called the Noble Poets. You can go and look it up, NOBLEPOETS.com, Noble Poets. And the first two songs that he has, one is called Never Fit In, which is all about how he's a kid in school that never fit in, because he came from this dysfunction. And the other one is called Humpty Dumpty. And that is all about putting the pieces back together. And we are all very, very broken. And so this is a song, and a feature is called The Wrecking Ball, because these children that suffer from domestic violence, if you can survive, you have an impenetrable wall. No therapist, no teacher, no parent can break through this. And Javon's story is their story, and it is delivered in this phenomenal rap with this awesome melodies of the other part of the duo. His guy Caleb sings better than Bieber. I mean, it's incredible. And I'm a huge fan, as you can tell now. So I love Javon. Big shout out to him. He's doing, and all of the work is dedicated to, it's his story. It's all dedicated to child abuse.
And this is something, when we talk about statistics, and especially when it comes to child abuse and that, the problem is, Rob, they are so underreported.
Yes.
It is so underreported. It's amazing the amount of abuse that children go through all over the world that's never seen, that's never documented, that's never, the parents are never challenged on it at all. So the fact that you've got Javon Barnes coming out and saying, hey, I went through this. I love the concept of Humpty Dumpty, putting pieces back together. That's what this country and world needs right now, Rob.
Yeah, and the thing is as an old guy, it's hard for me to understand the lyrics. I told him I had to actually Google the lyrics, and when I read the lyrics, it just blew my mind. So, yeah, we want to bring – their whole thing is to spotlight and to bring a message of hope. Recovery Today is a message of hope. And all of these things are intertwined, whether it's anxiety and fear and depression and all the things that we talk about in the mental health realm with you that I love to talk about, intertwined together with dysfunction at home. And I think that it's actually, I think that it's almost like a spiritual curse that follows people generationally, because your father abused you, then you became an abuser, et cetera, et cetera. And it has to end. It has to end. So I just appreciate being able to talk about it.
Yeah, and we need to be talking about these things. When we look at over the last couple of years of what's increased, we see a huge increase in dysfunction with relationships. We see a massive increase in sexual addiction and porn addiction. We see a huge increase in righteousness, what you and I talked about earlier, the desire and the need to be right in this society today. So there's a huge amount of addictions that are just coming out of the wall, as you mentioned earlier, Rob. Yeah,
and with the pandemic, it has accelerated everything. People used to be, whether you were whatever side of the political spectrum you're on, you could sit down and have dinner. And now it's so interesting that there's not any middle ground. Like, everybody immediately sums you up like, oh, you're on that side or you're on the other side. And with the shutdowns, really back to domestic abuse and things like that, we're literally locking up the abusers with the abused, and there was no teacher to say, what are these marks, or why are you behaving this way, or to identify?
Right.
So it's terrible.
That's a great point. Excellent point. My guest has been Rob Hannley, We're going to have him back on. We always do. He's the editor-in-chief of Recovery Today magazine.